Okay, I've seen a lot of people make their own takes on this, so I thought I would, considering I have a lot to say on this situation. I'm going to be talking about the situation with Qwel and Blush Crunch right now, and kind of just going into depth about what'll happen, and basically just everything about it. First, I'll be going over the situation, like what happened, the result of what happened, everyone's reactions, and stuff like that. Then I'll go over what her response was and why it's bad. And then I'll be going over what she should do next and what will happen next, depending on what she chooses to do. This is going to be a long video, by the way, just so you guys know. Alright, the entire situation. Let's get started. This might be out of chronological order, correct me if I am wrong with anything. So, Rox and Qwelver. Qwelver is the owner of Dandy's World, a very popular game on Roblox that has a very big fandom. The Blush Crunch server, the official server for the game, has 1 million members at the moment. Rox was an ex-developer who basically got kicked or banned or fired is the right word for drawing basically dark ship art of characters, but also nsfw of real minors. Not only that, but he was also a groomer, and Qwel was one of his victims, along many others. Rox and Qwel were friends since 2021. I don't know if this was known knowledge in the community, but this is what I'm being told now, at least. He helped work on models and animations for not only Dandy's World, but Qwel's previous game, Flavor Frenzy, I believe. When the allegations came out about Rox, Qwel claimed to have fired him and cut contact, at least from what I've heard. The fandom was told this and was content with this for months, until about a week ago. Screenshots were brought up showing Qwel knew about what he did and stayed in contact with him, not only after knowing, but also after claiming to have fired him. If you'd like, you can watch Duck Adams' video on YouTube. On YouTube, where I'll post this, I'll be posting it on TikTok and YouTube. On YouTube, I will link his video in the description. I mention this video because it contains a call of Qwel and Rox, proving Qwel knew about what he drew. She called it disgusting. This was of the adult and minor characters. She called it disgusting, and the timestamps in the call will show that this is way before he was fired. This is before the allegations came out. This was also in a group chat with other victims, many of which minors. Yet she said nothing and not allowed it to happen because she was a victim herself, but she didn't do anything. She didn't say anything other than it was disgusting. There are also videos of Qwel comforting Rox after having fired him. There's also screenshots proving Qwel said that if allegations came up, she would stay silent until the allegations moved on. There might be more to this, but I believe that's all. That's at least all I can remember. Now, the result was very catastrophic. People in the Blush Crunch server, in the general chat, were basically in an outrage. People were being banned for saying anything, the cooldowns were being increased, and eventually the entire server was shut down. People thought Qwel would eventually say something, but it has been over a week, and she is not. And especially with that screenshot, her admitting she wouldn't be saying anything, I don't believe she's going to. Now, this may change with the next few things I'm gonna say. People's reactions were an outrage, rightfully so. People are basically boycotting the game, not playing or quitting altogether, but also finding a way to play while not giving her money, which yes, there are ways to do that. People are not buying her merch, they're not buying Robux from her, they are hiding their plushies even, which may not seem like it's doing anything, but it shows how angry people are about this. Not only are people from the competitive community, like High Floors 100 plus, perma teams and such, quitting, but also it's hard for them to host runs with, Blush Crunch being shut down. Therefore, perma teams are becoming inactive. So it's not only affecting Qwel, but it's also affecting her own community. Now I want to talk about Qwel's response and why she might be responding like this and why it's not a good response. As I've said before, Qwel's response is to not respond, to literally stay silent and lie her way out of this. Now, I don't have a screenshot of this, but I've heard she's claiming her Discord won't work, which I don't believe because of the screenshots we've seen before. Now, she may be reacting like this because she is still a victim of rocks, but it does get to a point where we have to realize she's a fully grown adult, and while yes, adults can be grooming victims, it kind of gets to a point where it's not an excuse anymore. As a grooming victim, I did horrible things when I was said victim that I could have easily not done if I knew better. Well, I was only 13, so I don't want to compare myself to Qwel because that is a completely huge age difference, but my point still stands. I admit I could have done better. And while she may admit that in the future, it doesn't help the fact of what I'm about to say, I'm about to get into. The reason her response is not good is because obviously everyone's reactions are going to get 10 times worse. More people are going to quit the longer she stays silent and the less money she is going to make. This is a sort of domino effect, where the less traction she gets, the less money she makes. The less money she makes, the more mods or developers are going to quit. The more mods and developers that quit, the more she has to get. And that's going to be hard when she's quite literally being canceled. How are you going to find developers and mods when you're losing them for a reason? Now, there are many things that she could do better here. I think a start would be just making a PSA about it. Something even as simple as I'm working this out, or I'll make a response soon. But she has stayed completely silent. Her staying silent is going to be her downfall. This is a horrible decision on her part. It could be the complete end of her game. Like I said, a PSA or an announcement would be the start. She should also apologize to her close friends and mods who she lied to repeatedly, especially if those ones were victims. She has not apologized to the other victims she has hurt and lied to by doing this. There were victims that were her mods that, from at least what I've heard, what they've said, she hasn't apologized. I could argue she deserves to apologize to the community, but even if you don't believe that, we can at least agree that she should apologize to the victims. Another thing she should do, especially if she does not say something soon, is she should just completely transfer ownership. The only problem with this is if she transfers ownership to somebody worse, that could effectively create a collapse in the community and a fall to the game. But it's already heading that way, so I don't think it could really get any worse. But I honestly think that no matter who she transfers it to, as long as it's not somebody like Rox or her, it'll be much better. Qwel never listened to the community, especially the competitive community. She only saw the game through her eyes, her high floor 28 with admin eyes. So she never really thought about anyone else in the community, really, that wasn't like her or her. This has caused many fans to quit as it is. But on top of this drama, it's causing many competitive fans to quit. However, I think if she does end up transferring ownership, especially to somebody even just a little better than her, the game can rise again and become better than it was. The game has so much potential to be so much better than it is, and it's being held back by Qwel because she doesn't listen to the people who have ideas that are actually creative. I think apologizing to friends and mods and making a PSA will help. I don't know if that will resuscitate the community and stop people from quitting or boycotting. I think transferring ownership is the best decision for her to make. However, I really don't see that happening considering how entitled she's acting. I'm really trying to see her perspective considering she is a victim of rocks, but I really can't. I'm trying, I just can't. Because it gets to a point, if you're the own downfall of your game, it might just be you as a person. And honestly, we have seen signs of her acting like this before. She really doesn't listen to the community, and this is just a severe case of that. I don't really have much more to say. I think I covered every point I wanted to talk about in this video. But if you have any thoughts or, really anything, just comment them below. Hate will be deleted. If you disagree with something, say it in a normal human being manner. Don't say some shit like, oh my god, you're wrong, because Qwel is amazing, and I love Qwel, and she would never do anything, and she's not even problematic, because the screenshots were fake. No. Alright, that's it from me. I hope you enjoyed if you did listen.